Welcome back. Let's do one more of these so that I've got 5 videos in the series, each one approximately 20 minutes. Originally, I thought I would like to do approximately 10 to 15 minutes. No time limit. I'm just comfortably talking about each subject for about 20 minutes. And that's long enough for me to get direct market research and see what the engagement is like. So here we go. One last topic I'd like to share with you is Mushin, the empty mind. Now, as I'm sharing my stories with you and my experience, the stuff that I've gone through and read and learned in my journey, you're getting to know me. Now, one last thing I'd like to share with you if you're watching this. Obviously, if you're not, you're never going to hear me say this, but a part of what makes me me is this gratefulness that I come from privilege. Let me explain what I mean by that. At least when I checked at some point around age 40, I'm now 50. So around 10 years ago, I remember within the rankings for the standard of living, the best cities to live in North America, the top three of the three of the top 4 were in Canada, not the United States. If I'm remembering correctly, they were Vancouver, Ottawa, and Toronto, possibly Montreal. Anyway, 3 of those 4 big Canadian cities, Montreal, Ottawa, Vancouver, and Toronto, 3 of the 4, if not all 4 of the 4, ranked really high in the top best standards of living for North America. And I grew up near Toronto and then studied at university in Ottawa. So I literally grew up and spent the first 25 years of my life in the greatest places on the planet to live, statistically speaking. And then at age 25, I moved to Tokyo, Japan, because there was a large demand for English teachers, because I wanted to find myself. That was a big thing in the 90s. Not everybody did it. Get some work experience in Asia, to make my CV, my working record look good. And also personally, I wanted to train at the world headquarters for my style of karate under the top masters. And that's what I did for over 2 years. And when I lived in Japan, Japan was the second largest and strongest economy in the world. It's now shifted over the last 20, 25 years. But when I was living there, I was in downtown Tokyo, living in the second greatest place on earth, economically speaking. And then after 2 years and 2 months, when I moved to Germany, just so that I could get a work experience Europe, Germany was at that time the 3rd largest economy in the world. So I went from the greatest place on the planet to the 2nd to the 3rd. And my savings as an English teacher just overnight expanded. My money moving from Japan to Germany just became more. So, of course, the majority of the world who moves from one place to another are searching for better economic conditions. We all know that. But in my case, I'm one of those rare humans who has done it the other way, reverse. I don't think there's a word for it. What would you call me? A reverse economic refugee is not even the right word, but you know what I'm saying. And I have to be grateful for that, because I came from resources, and I've done my best within my lifetime to honor my bloodline, to give the world something, even if it's just card tricks or magic shows. In the last 2 years, I've been lucky enough to really have gotten noticed by the German viewers because of a German YouTube series, which I regularly take part in. And it gives me an average of over 500,000 in some months to sometimes 1 million viewers watching me every month for the last 2 years. And that's drawn attention to me. A lot of questions in terms of self-development and coaching and reaching goals and purpose in life, they come my way. And this is my attempt to answer all of those. All right. This is going to be the last one of this series. I'll see how it goes. If enough people are watching it and asking me good questions below, please remember, then I'll make a decision and think about continuing a series in this direction. I hope this is useful for you. I hope you like it. If you've actually watched all 5 of these parts, I feel you now know me at least well enough to be able to ask me questions or decide if you would like to see more of me talking to you through the camera. All right, any closing thoughts before we get into the body of the video? I'm now asking myself. I think that's about it. All right, enjoy this last part. The topic is Mushin, the effortless mind. Transition.
What's up, everyone? Ryan Hayashi here. How can you become a genius or a top performer in your field? That's what everybody wants to know. But almost every top performer and genius you look up will describe one thing in common. It's a specific state of mind that they've learned to identify, control, and turned on and off at will. They all call it flow. Let's sit down and I'll explain it to you the best I can. Yo! Aye! Thanks for sitting down together with me, guys, to talk about the topic of flow. Some people call it being in the flow, the state of flow mind, consciousness. In Japanese, it's called Mushin. I'll translate directly. Mu means the absence of or nothing, not being there. Shin meaning the mind. Now, this translates a little bit awkwardly into English. It doesn't mean to be absent-minded. In English, to be absent-minded means to not exactly be in the moment or focused on what it is you're doing. It's quite the opposite, actually. Within the traditional Japanese martial arts, the masters describe a state of mushin, or no thinking required. You can describe this as muscle memory, automated response, intuitive internalization of theory or techniques, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same state for all geniuses and leaders in their fields. So you see this in athletes when they simply react in a way that seems superhuman, without hesitation, without thinking, without a time delay between seeing what's happening, deciding on the best course of action, and actually moving. It just happens. You see this within the combative sports, martial arts, boxers. They quite often describe being in the state of flow. They say they don't have to think of the technique or even throw a technique. The technique just happens. That's the same state of flow. Now, within creative endeavors, people who write, compose music, dancers, filmmakers, video editors, once they're fully concentrated on the project they're working on, they describe exactly the same state of flow in which the creativity just occurs. It's not a conscious effort. Now, there's a famous scene in the movie The Last Samurai, starring Tom Cruise, in which he faces off against a Japanese sword master and gets his butt kicked. He gets beaten up by training swords made of wood so that nobody dies. And one of the villagers says to Tom Cruise's character, too much thinking. Stop thinking, be in the moment. Actually, it's very interesting how they translated too many mind in the English version. Mind, people looking, mind, what am I doing, mind, what do they think of me? Eliminate these. So in regular English, eliminate these thoughts, any external unnecessary factors, in order to have the effortless or the empty mind. Now, if you do your own research, you'll find that within the fields of neuroscience, psychology, sports science, everything to success coaches and creativity consultants, they try to describe various ways to achieve this state of mind. Now that's interesting because the way I see it, you don't actually directly achieve this state of mind, although it seems that all leaders in different fields of athletics, creativity, business, genius academic endeavors, they claim to have identified and learned how to consciously control and come in and out of this state. I agree with that in a way. I say that it's quite similar to falling asleep because I don't think that we humans actually consciously learn how to fall asleep or that we can teach another person how to fall asleep. We fall asleep. Now, being asleep is a state. It's like being cold, being excited, being happy, being sweaty, being energized or tired. That's being asleep. The actual physical acts that lead up to it, well, that's just relaxing and going to bed. That's not exactly the same as going to sleep. So what we can learn to do is the actual concrete things which are conducive to sleep or a mindset, and then learn to allow it to happen. Because what happens is the sleep happens. I believe it's very few humans who can consciously just decide to no longer be awake. Okay? Possibly with the exception of myself, those who know me call me the champion of sleep, because anyone who's ever known me and has been in the room any time of day or night has been astonished at how fast I am able to fall asleep. Don't know why that is. I've just learned at some early stage of my development when I was young that I like sleep, found it fun, enjoyed it, or more specifically, enjoyed the way I felt after a good night's sleep. And I'm able to fall asleep on buses, trains, airplanes, in a car if I'm not driving. And in a similar way, I also have learned at some point, I would say in my 30s, to consciously allow the state of flow to happen. Now, specifically what the state of flow is, it's when a part of the brain takes over, which is required for focusing on a current action or activity in the here and now. When that happens, it's very difficult to speak to a person who's in this state of concentration or flow, fully absorbed in what they're doing. You've seen it. It can be video games. It can be carving a piece of wooden furniture. It can be manual work. It can be playing sports. But generally, when somebody is doing something that they are very good at or that they enjoy very much, and they can't be distracted by external factors or people talking to them, it's very difficult to ask them complex questions. They can't answer. They say, that you got to ask me after. I got to finish this. You cannot ask them about past or future ideas. You can't ask them to recall past memories. Hang on. What was the idea for the ending of that project that we came up with 3 days ago? Or do you know which day next week is going to be that first presentation? It's very difficult for them to handle that because in this state of flow, scientists have found out that all higher complex thinking, all thoughts of past and future get shut down. And this is the primitive mind, which all animals have when it comes to fight or flight. When they're attacked and they need to, get combative to defend themselves or run away, this is the same state. So you name it, a BMX biker, a surfer, a snowboarder, somebody playing basketball. Once they're just in that mental zone, which they call being in the flow, their brain is only processing that one activity, and that means in the here and now, the present. That's the state of flow, and that's what is called Mushin, or the effortless mind, or the empty mind in Japanese. Now, I'd like to leave you with a few basics, what I consider for this is the way I do it, my 3 basic rules of do's and don'ts when it comes to trying to be conducive to that state of mind, to allowing it to happen. So let's go with the don'ts first. Don't try to multitask. Don't be surfing the internet, writing text. Don't be trying to do other things at the same time, because it won't happen. I find that an impossibility. Some people could argue. I've seen multitaskers who can do several things at the same time and drive a car, but okay, maybe that's me. Second of all, be very clear on the exact moment in the process that you are in. Okay, if that makes any sense, the top athletes and people of a higher level of fitness, they don't say, I'm going to walk into the gym and, I don't know, make it up as I go along, decide to maybe do this machine, do a couple of reps of that weight. They have a concrete plan. They say, today, I'm going to walk over and do 3 sets of so many reps of flat bench press, incline press, then I'm going to do shoulder press. They know exactly what they're doing. And then, so don't have a vague sort of mishmash, no plan of what it is exactly you're doing, unless you're just chilling and doing nothing, because that will be the end result. And tactic number 3 is to not have, well, actually, as I say it out loud, I realize, hearing myself saying that the do's and don'ts are actually just a direct opposite of each other. So the don'ts was, don't get distracted, don't have no plan about what exactly it is you're doing or where you are. And then the third was not to just be vague or undefined about the end goal or the final target of this process of what you're trying to achieve. So let me flip it over, and then you've got my 3 ways of thinking of how to allow this level of concentration or focused work to happen, because it's all up here. It's a mental thing. It means to eliminate all distractions. So I'm now talking about the do's. Okay, it means set yourself a specific amount of time. Some people say every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes, they set an alarm, but set their phone, aside and stop surfing on social media. Eliminate the external distractions. Okay. Physically, you got to remove them from the room and your actual environment so that you have undivided attention. Number 2, be very clear about where you are in that process. So if you're writing a paper, how many pages am I going to write by the end of today? If you're in the gym, how many sets of which exercises exactly am I going to do? And then rule number 3 is knowing where you want to be at the end of the journey. A lot of people call this visualization, seeing yourself already there. So it's imagining for yourself, your age, for your amount of sleep, for your amount of workout intensity, for your age, what are you going to look like in 3 years? Okay. If it's a creative endeavor, what will this project, this film, this whatever it is you're producing, this song look like or sound like when it's finished? Okay. I hope that helps. These have been some of my personal tips on the effortless mind, or the empty mind as I prefer to call it, called the state of flow, also known in Japanese as Mushin. Yo. Thank you very much for listening.
Here's just a few closing thoughts to end this short 5-episode test series. I'd like to share with you what happened to me when I was in school, 10 years old. Let me think back. What was that? Grade 4, the 4th class, right? Because when I was in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8, that's right, for those 4 years, I took part in a Canadian educational enrichment program. That means my parents got a letter when I was 10 years old, informing them that I was invited to take part in a new pilot program for gifted children who got a higher than average test results on their IQ test. I believe they gave us that test in the third grade. My parents put me in the program for 4 years. So while I was in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8, what is that? Between the ages of 11 and 14, the other kids went to school 5 days a week, and I went to school with other children in the program 4 days a week. And that fifth day we spent with a mentor who would drive us to other larger cities' libraries to research our own projects. We would visit universities and sit in on lectures of our choice, from engineering to physics. We would visit company CEOs, managers, to experts on everything from inventing stuff to marketing. What I'm trying to say is, in those developmental years from the age of 11 to, is that right? 11, 12, 13, and 14, I was given more learning freedom and an educational boost than not all children were given. And that has shaped my life. I have to be eternally grateful for that, because not everyone is given that chance that young. And I'm sharing this at the end of this 5-part series, not just to brag more about the awesome stuff I was given, or the great stuff that I've done. It was an opportunity I was given, and it's a reminder to me and anyone else who asks me about mentoring or coaching on how valuable at any age. Now, of course, in many fields, it's better to start young. Mentoring and coaching has an exponentially greater impact on people when they're young, but it's never too old to learn. And coaching, mentoring is incredibly valuable. So if you've been watching all 5 parts of this series and you're watching this part now at the end, I thank you very much for sticking with me. I thank you for your comments and your thoughts. I hope this was a valuable a value to you. I've tried to imagine sitting together with you and just sharing my thoughts with you. All right, I'm going to stop talking now. And no matter who you choose, if you're continuing your journey of development and learning, find the best teachers and mentors you can, because there's no substitute for coaching when it comes to coming forward in life. All right, take care and thank you very much. Final close.